I'm Sarah Holbrook. I'm the Executive Director of the Pinhead Institute here in Telluride, Colorado, and the lucky interviewer of the mayor.
Hi, Sarah.
Sean Murphy, how are you?
I'm well. It's great to be back.
I know. I'm happy to
Welcome
see you.
back. I've
I
missed
know.
you
I know. I was gone. I
recently.
did a little jaunt to the East Coast, and before that, I went to Tahiti.
And they wouldn't let me interview myself, so they had to have a Telluride supervisor, like an adult in the room.
Oh my God, adults in the room.
Poor Peter Kenworthy had to step in and
I'm sure he did a fantastic job. But I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be back. So there was a council meeting on Tuesday. What are the headlines? What did you talk about?
We had two major sort of important discussions. We continued our discussion about marijuana hospitality establishments.
Oh, right. We were talking about that. That would be separate rooms where people could, buy their stuff somewhere and then go smoke it in a room that would be not public, but private, but
that's
also
the host-only
commercial
model where someone has a business model that says I could, make money off the snacks and the non-alcoholic beverages that I might sell you and your day pass into one of those hosting establishments that is screened from view. Then there's host plus sale as another model, which would allow whoever has that venue to also sell to folks who come there.
And what is it looking like?
So the reason we were bringing it up again was it had been suggested by certain members of council that we get ourselves in a position that we discuss this by the end of October, and then with the two remaining meetings, the November meeting and the December meeting in 2019, that we would potentially, we're not going there though, we'll cut to the chase, potentially adopt an ordinance allowing for such things because you need to do that in 2 readings. And the state has a new state law that says communities can opt in as of January 1st, 2020 if they want these establishments. So we've had 3 separate work sessions. We've had one particular of those work sessions, we had about 7 members of the industry, so to speak, the folks who would be selling retail marijuana for guests to consume in these kind of establishments. They rolled in hard a couple weeks ago and made their views known.
That they wanted them?
That they wanted them.
Okay, got it.
And of course they want us to approve the host-only model, not the host and sale, so that there would be no sale competition to them within these, if we allowed these. So then we had sort of the other side of the argument, which was the health concerns, the modeling, the normalization of this behavior on the younger crowd. So we had representatives of the school district.
Oh, right.
We had actually Tri-County Health Network was there. We also had a number of people who were there to present scientific evidence about secondhand, third-hand smoke related to cannabis and its harmful effects. So we literally had 7 people show up on Tuesday saying, wait, don't do this until you understand better what the health effects are. So we as a council decided that also, the reason we were bringing it up again was mid-October, it was expected that the state would issue some guidelines around this new law. And they did not issue the final guidelines yet.
Right, so you're kind of like, where is this going?
We don't know exactly what the landscape is going to look like state law-wise, so there's no sense in. It's tabled for now.
And in 2020 you can bring it up again if there's interest. Okay.
So we could do it whenever. It's just
and are the off-season council meetings a little bit on the quiet side? Like you're not taking up a lot of important stuff because
we generally
you want to
try
make sure that there's
to,
a larger audience in town available to comment on the more important issues.
Right. If we're poised to do something, and that was a work session, by the way, that wasn't an action item. So you're correct. We try to keep things off of the action item side of the ledger and really just do work sessions and other things to talk about and get input on. So the other big thing from Tuesday was the Planning and Zoning Commission has been in the process for several years now of trying to figure out how to incentivize more affordable housing in the town, more employee housing. And so they have come up with a plan that was then discussed in a work session at council to require lots that are greater than 5,000 square feet. So most lots in the town of Telluride are 25 feet by 100 feet. It's almost like anyone who has a double-sized lot or greater would be required under a proposal that came up from P&Z, which was the subject of the work session, was should we require 2 dwelling units on such sized lots?
Sure, so that would be employee housing or something like that. What would the dwelling units be?
The issue that was teased out was P&Z didn't say they have to be reserved for an employee dwelling unit. It could be your little short-term Airbnb cottage. So it doesn't necessarily solve the harm for the harm or for the need. And so we had, as you might expect, and talk about you shouldn't have controversial things in off-season. Well, we had about 12 people who came for public comment that were extremely concerned about this, many members of the real estate community, as you might imagine. And so we had kind of a, I would call it a mini breakthrough moment, because we got to a point where there was, you know, the typical battle lines were drawn, and well, that's just the real estate industry's view, or this is just the whatever view. And we had a couple of realtors who came up and said, you know what, guys, can't we have a retreat with town council, planning and zoning, HARC, and the real estate community?
Right.
Next time you guys do one of your joint retreats, would you please invite the real estate community to come?
Oh, how nice.
And then we can all sit and spitball and, you know,
right,
put
kind
it
of
that
come
way,
up
but
with the
come
great
up with
ideas.
better
yeah,
ideas and try to collaborate
problems.
instead of demonizing each other.
Well, that sounds
so
like
it was
a good
like,
outcome.
this is a good thing.
Yeah,
So, but that one was
exactly.
that put us an hour behind in the day.
Oh dear.
Because we had so much comment, and it was good. That's the point. And there were still plenty of people here during off season for that conversation.
Right, who had a point of view. And now, is it often the case that P&Z, Planning and Zoning, does things like take on what should be added to
the land use
building?
code.
Exactly. Is that their purview? I just don't know that much about it.
I would say we have an activist P&Z at this point. I don't think they're required to do it, but they do as a general matter, and I think this is something that Kathy Green has really encouraged. You know, she's been on planning and zoning for decades now, and I think she's feeling like we've missed some opportunities to do more in the past, and so she's decided, let's say in the last 5 years, that she's going to push the envelope a bit, and she's going to force this conversation to occur,
and
which is fine.
She's living that rule, if you think about it. She's my neighbor. I love her. And she has probably a 5,000 square foot lot at least. I mean, there's a lot going on up there. And she has a bunch of dwelling units that she rents to wonderful people all the time. I have the best neighbors because of Kathy Green.
Yeah.
So she is an example of making it right.
In every backyard.
Yes,
and
exactly.
So,
I think it's a wonderful idea.
So some people in the public comment portion said, well, if this is such a great idea for lots of 5,000 square feet or greater, why can't it apply to all lots in Telluride? You know? So stay tuned. We generally have the joint HARC P&Z and town council retreat in the spring.
So the
like
real estate
March.
agents should get ready for that.
So I don't know if we'll.
And where do you go? Denton Hot Springs or something nice like that?
The retreat is at the library, so it's in the big program room downstairs or whatever at the library.
Wherever it works.
So or wherever. I mean,
the fire station.
We can have them at Public Works too, but that conference room might be a little small. Or it could be at Rebecca Hall. But anyway, so we'll when we get together, we assemble the smarter people in that world, and hopefully get to talk across boundaries.
Yes. That sounds exciting. Well, I look forward to hearing what happens after that retreat.
And then on a snoozer note, go ahead.
I was just saying, speaking of venues and locations, you know, when we talk, we are in a TTV studio, a Telluride TV studio, and for years there has been a studio in the high school, and you wouldn't know that from looking at us because we have this beautiful backdrop. And now we're over in the Inn at Lost Creek here in Mountain Village because the school space has gone away. And I like the people at the Inn at Lost Creek so much. I was just eating their chocolate chip cookies from their lobby, and
Shout
they were
out
delicious.
to Jonathan and Stuart.
I know, what nice people, right?
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Totally.
Yeah, and it's funny to be here in Mountain Village with the gondola not running, so we drove over. That was interesting.
I asked those guys the same thing because I said, I'm surprised the inn is open, and they said, we only close for 1 week during this off season.
Wow,
so
that's amazing, yeah. Great.
Anyway,
great,
good.
Great neighbors. Good cookies make good neighbors, I think. And it is Halloween, of course, so that's kind of fun.
That's true,
Do you have a costume?
Well, some of us with enormous regret noted that Mary Dawn closed her Alpenschatz retail store on Main Street.
Is it closed?
It's closed. She's moved the inventory down to Ridgeway, and she's moved herself to Oxford, England. She has a home there as well. So she sold her place at Lulu City, and she's, sorry to like gossip or whatever, but it is true. I guess it's public information. So anyway, I bought a pair of Lederhosen.
Did I miss my opportunity to buy Lederhosen?
You did at 50% off.
I'm so mad at myself.
So anyway, that's my costume for tonight.
Yeah. Well, I'm a middle-aged white lady, so I'm just going to go invisible. No, I do love Halloween. I'm going to go to the museum, and I'm going to wear one of those bracelets that says please don't scare me because I'm such a chicken. I go to haunted houses and they freak me out, but I'm going to do it because you got to support the museum. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's so good. I think it's from 7 to 9:30 or something. It's 7 to 8:30 or something like that. So I definitely have that on my sites.
Excellent.
So what else?
Well, so tell me, what was your son for Halloween?
Oh, he's Elizabeth Warren. He put his blonde hair back in a bun so you could just see like the side part of his hair. It looks like a woman's short hair. And he has, you know, the wire rim glasses. He's wearing sneakers and he's wearing a red jacket of mine and then one of Warren's t-shirts that says, I have a plan for that. It's hysterical. Yeah, he's my lovely little political activist.
That's excellent.
Yeah, fighting the good fight. Yep.
Well, good.
I think he is still going to go trick-or-treating. He's almost aging out, but not quite yet.
Well, I'm going to the Wadley's house first because it's David's birthday, Chief Wadley, and we're doing the adults will hand out candy and also beverages at home.
Oh, how
And then
fun.
I'm going to the Arguelles household for their annual Halloween thing, and their family all dresses according to a certain theme.
Oh, wow.
So I think it's Adam's family or something this year.
It's going to be terrific.
So that will be interesting.
I love the theme. I love a Halloween theme. I'm a fan.
And then, of course, Dakota's benefit at the Liberty.
Yes.
And I'll probably end up at OB's at the end. So,
oh, wow. You got a busy night in front of you. Well, then we have to get through a couple other action
all right.
items. What
do
else?
you wanna
Talk
know?
about sales tax, real estate transfer tax. What's it looking like?
We didn't get the latest update at this particular Tuesday meeting, but we are on track for like a $7 million gross for sales tax, so that's a little greater than last year.
Okay.
Obviously, the last couple months of the year aren't in, so we feel really good about sales tax. We had the largest sales tax collection in the history of town of Telluride for the month of July this year, 940,000 in a single month.
Wow! So if that was annualized, it would be almost 11 million. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So we're seeing the summer numbers have come in super strong.
It was a lovely summer here in Telluride, wasn't it?
And really, you know, through this quote-unquote off-season, town has felt busier to me.
Yes.
I mean, I feel like we've had a lot of drive-to traffic.
Yeah, there have been off-seasons where I've walked the entire length of Main Street and not seen a single person, and that definitely has not happened for me.
And then on the real estate transfer tax side, we're on track for the expected $4.8 million that we were hoping to collect. We had a little bit slower September. Those numbers are in, but there are several things set to close in November. So the transfer warehouse project, you know, the one that's by the gondola, that one I've heard that there are multiple closings for those units.
Oh, interesting.
So that will give rise to real estate transfer tax collection.
Yeah. Is there affordable housing within that? Yes. Did that just get auctioned off?
There are at least 3 units that I'm aware of in there.
Yeah.
They
were they part of that most recent auction? I feel like no.
The lottery. So when it's a private development like that, where there are required mitigation units for affordable housing, those developers are allowed to just sell or rent them to anybody they want that qualifies as an employee.
Sure. Okay.
So
got it.
My understanding is that those 3 units are for sale. In fact, I know at least one of them is because I was talking to this woman in August on the rooftop of the Buck, and she was in contract for one of them.
Nice.
So.
So they're on their way to being occupied. They're on their way.
Yeah, hopefully those folks will be in by Christmas too.
Oh wow! And all the condos in that area?
It should be substantially, if not completely complete.
Wow, we'll see people living there.
Exactly.
It'll be so nice to have the lights on.
And yes,
yeah,
exactly.
that'll be great.
And let's see what else.
Yeah. Have you gone into any meetings? Oh no, yes, the waste treatment plant. Now you and I have been talking for a long time, and has to have a serious upgrade. It's both sometimes full. And then also the standards are changing.
Correct.
So
there's
something on the ballot, and it's even just a loan, right? We don't need to carry the expense.
Well, it's a revenue bond. So what's on the ballot for the town of Telluride, I think this is measure 6A. And so 6A says, shall the town be permitted to bond for $7.3 million, which would basically be putting bonds, selling bonds to the private marketplace. Those would be revenue bonds backed by the existing water and sewer rates.
Right.
So it's not, the town doesn't need to come out of pocket for anything else. This is just, let's leverage this income stream that we know we have coming in to make a capital improvement. And on that note, so about
and we
6
need
weeks ago,
to do that work, or else the town will get huge fines for not being in compliance with ecological standards, right?
That's a theoretical possibility, yes. So the town of Telluride owns 2/3 of that facility, and the town of Mountain Village owns the other third. So we have... So back in 2017, 16 and 17, we hired various engineering groups on the Front Range to do a study of, all right, how do we meet the coming standards requirements? How do we meet both state and federal standards, which are unknown at this moment, as well as what kind of a process will it take to renew this facility. Because the first part of our wastewater treatment plant was built in 1987, and then in the late 90s and early 2000s there were 2 additions. So basically this plant has reached the end of its useful life. So we, shout out to Jessie Ray Arguelles. Jessie Ray happened to be in contact with a company in Canada that makes membranes that strain waste in plants. And so this person with whom she came into contact said, you know, I'd be happy to send my engineer, my chief engineer out there at no cost to the town. You know, send us those 2 engineering reports. We'll have a look at those. We'll come prepared. And they did. They spent 2 days here about 6 weeks ago. And then they said to us, you know, the size of your plant and the need that you have, they have just completed a retrofit of a similarly sized facility in Arkansas.
So that's why you were all on this trip to Arkansas. Amazing.
Tommy Watkinson, Jessie Ray Arguelles, Bahal Root, our public works director, Ross Herzog, our town manager, and Joyce Hwang, our town engineer, and I, and Finn, who's the director of public works up here for the Mountain Village, because again, we're partners in this venture.
They need to have
and we invited their mayor and we invited their council people, and they thought that their public works guy had it. So he had it handled.
Yes, you had a field trip to a waste treatment plant in Arkansas.
We went to a waste treatment plant. And
way to go.
It was a little harrowing to get out there because we got diverted. We were going through Dallas-Fort Worth. So we went Montrose, Austin, unexpectedly. Then we sat for 5 hours on the tarmac in Austin while a storm cell moved through, and it was unsafe for anybody to operate a jetway. So we had to sit on a plane and rock around stationary. That was interesting. And then we finally got to Arkansas the next day.
And was it a fantastic project?
It was actually very impressive. It does not smell. And they had just had a 300-year flood. In a little further distance from the plant. Yeah, which can totally wreak havoc with a system like that. And they have a bunch of poultry processing plants around them. So they have really yucky waste that comes into their thing. We stood there over all their tanks. No odor whatsoever. It was so impressive.
That's
amazing. So the good news is they built their plant at a cost of $15 million.
And
so we had estimates of 50 to 90.
I remember that.
And so nobody wants to commit to a price tag yet.
Right.
But when you're looking at an asset that costs $15 million to build, I think you could probably do it in Telluride for 20.
Right.
You know, our cost of construction and other things are a little higher here.
Yeah, exactly.
But 20 is a heck of a lot better than 50 or 90.
Yeah, it sure is.
So this is, again, Jessie Ray and I have been working on this together really diligently the last several months. She gets the credit for making the connection. And, of course, she was on the trip and we had the same engineer that had visited us here appeared there, and then he had another guy meet us, and we spent about 4 hours with the plant operator. And so the equivalent of our Bill Goldsworthy. And so we gained a lot of really good knowledge and insight, and I think even the Mountain Village guys were like, this is pretty impressive. So
neat.
Stay tuned. What's going to happen next is that we're sending them these engineering drawings from when our plant was constructed so that they can take it, sit down with a construction company that they've used in these retrofit projects and say, what is the most efficient layout of this plant? And the good news for us is that we have these 3 tanks. I don't know what you
call them, holding tanks or something.
One of them is generally empty. So we could install this in phases.
And then move everything over to the one that had been empty.
And then shut another one down. Start treating waste in the one we just retrofitted. Retrofit the second one. And then the same with the third. So we won't have to. Obviously, you can't ever shut a plant down either. That's the problem. But working in off seasons, we'll probably be able to do this. And there's a construction company actually. We haven't met them yet, but actually the manufacturer of these membranes was like, oh, we've had really good work experiences with this company out of Salida. So
and that's nice. That's pretty local.
We're hoping that maybe we can stitch this all together. But I would say once they receive these engineering drawings, 30 days from then, they will give us a no-cost plan and say, okay, if you'd like to put this out for bid, then they and whatever construction partner would bid on it, and anybody else could bid on it. So anyhow, there was it was a really good, valuable learning experience. And hopefully one that's going to save this community tens of millions of dollars.
Let's hope. Great. So everybody should get to know the different things on the ballot, but that's one that we were just talking about.
True.
And the elections are coming up, so by the time people are watching this, they might already know what's going on. And I guess because this is public access, we won't talk necessarily about the mayoral race, but I'll jump to the questions from the community.
Okay.
And then maybe that will answer some viewers' questions about some issues involved in the election. And that is that there's been some talk about you having you have been missing some meetings.
This is really fascinating.
And I thought that might be something that you want to address.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So when you're onboarded as a member of town council, keep in mind, first of all, that this is not a full-time job. It is a full-time job commitment in terms of hours, but nobody has it. We don't have offices. We don't have support. We have no traditional sort of employment aspects to our job. So when we were onboarded by the town manager, in my case it was Greg Clifton, Greg said, there is no minimum requirement to attend a certain number of meetings. We all recognize that each person has jobs, wives, kids, dogs, other things going on in their lives. So you're not going to make every meeting. So in my case, over the past 5 years, I have missed 4 town council meetings. One was for a 300-year flood event when I was changing planes in Houston, coming back for an off-season meeting, and the entire Houston Intercontinental was shut down, and there were no other flights to Colorado for the rest of that day. One was a Colorado Supreme Court Nominating Commission meeting where I, as the attorney representative for the 3rd Congressional District, was in Denver helping select a successor for our then Chief Justice Rice, who was retiring. One was I had a conflict of interest, and the entire meeting was devoted to a hearing on a matter that I was conflicted on because I happened to have a part-time law practice with a law firm here in the community, and our firm had represented.
Couldn't be there.
I was not allowed to be there because we had it's just a fundamental conflict. And the 4th meeting, yes, I went to Greece this past summer, and yes, I missed a meeting. So this focus has been on the Housing Authority subcommittee level.
Sure. Are you on that subcommittee?
This is another candidate. I am one of the regular members, so there are 3 regular members, Delaney Young, Todd Brown, and me. Okay. And then Geneva is our alternate.
Right, and so if you can't make it or any of the other 3 can't make it, Geneva steps in, and she might step in anyhow.
Yeah, I mean, her voice is always welcome, and we always listen to the alternates anyway. They just don't vote unless a regular member's not there.
How often do they meet?
So they generally meet
about once a month?
They meet once a month.
And how many of those have
because of these 2 projects, there have been, and because of the housing rules that were tightened up, I'll put it that way, in April of 2018, April and May. That caused an issue for people like me, for example, who are a single-person household that wanted to apply in the lottery for a 2-bedroom. The rule changed in 2018. But then the backlash was so great against the Housing Authority by the community that then this sort of cute solution of, oh, well, how about this? We'll let you get an exception if you agree to rent that other room. So for the 2 new projects that we just brought, that we're about to bring online in November, we had 49 hearings.
Oh my goodness.
For exceptions. And so those things were coming up like popcorn every couple days.
Are you saying you missed a few of those?
So I missed a few of those. And frankly, this is a subcommittee. This is not full town council.
Right.
Our full THA, Telluride Housing Authority meetings are the same 7 members of town council. I have missed none of those. So this idea of being like a 3rd grade teacher and, marking down attendance and thinking, attendance is no prediction of performance.
Right, but let's compare your attendance to the other people on that housing subcommittee, for example. Did the rest of them make all those meetings and you did not, or did they miss meetings also?
The statistic that was quoted last night during the mayoral forum was
sometimes it's good to put it in context.
Yeah, I think I've missed 17 of those meetings. And our chairperson, Delaney, who's running against me, has missed 9. Okay. So there's...
And you're saying there were how many for that one little issue?
For that one, my goodness, we had 49 hearings requested.
Okay, got it.
And so we did them, I think that caused 5 or 6 extra meetings.
Okay, got it.
So... in addition to the regularly monthly scheduled meeting.
Right.
But I often have, other commitments going on, like I'm in Denver at a Colorado Supreme Court Nominating Commission meeting, or I'm a member of CDOT's advisory group. I'm one of only 3 people on the Western Slope, or I'm on the policy committee for the Colorado Municipal League, or we have Colorado Mayor's meetings. Those have all caused me to miss Housing Authority meetings because they happen to fall on the same day.
Right.
So it's not as if I'm off eating bonbons and having you sitting in a hot tub somewhere. It's I'm over at another meeting for town business. And so anyway, people should make their own judgment. Right. And that is fine. But this
I felt like that was something that we should be chatting about, and we have now. Thank you. And then the last question is always, once again, affordable housing.
Right.
And so we did just have an interesting conversation with some people about where Telluride stands compared to other places. So talk a little bit about that, and then I think we can wrap it up.
This has been actually a really nice, it's sort of like a positive upside surprise for me, because obviously affordable housing is the key issue in our community.
I hear it all the time.
But you go to these other peer resort kind of communities, like the Colorado Association of Ski Town members, that includes ski towns outside of Colorado. Telluride is so much further ahead because we build our own housing. We don't sit and wait for some other partners to come on scene, either a county partner or a private developer or something. Those are fine too, and we take those opportunities when they're available to us too. But we just move ahead, and yes, there is criticism of the town that we can only bring, you know, for example, there are 26 units that just came online that will come online next month, the Longwell and the Silverjack. So the idea is, gosh, if the town would partner with private capital, or if the town would partner with other governments, we could be doing more at the same time, and we wouldn't just have 26 units coming on in a given year, but we might get up 50 or 100. So we actually had, it was proposed to us 2.5 years ago. The Telluride Foundation said to the town of Telluride, the town of Mountain Village, and San Miguel County, hey guys, what if we all threw in 50 grand each and we did a P4? So the 3 publics and then the private. And we hire an owner's representative. And they said, owner representative A in Boulder, for example, will come over here, and she did. Gave us an explanation. She said, here's how other communities have banded together, because in our case, because we're so remote, because projects of scale are things that are like 80 to 100 units,
and we
not
don't, we
8
don't
units
have
at
that.
Spruce House and 16 units at the Longwell. Most private developers are like, it's not worth it. And our local private developers are full up, I think, because there's a lot of construction activity going on. So Town of Mountain Village, county, the foundation had all signed a memorandum of understanding, and they came to the town of Telluride. And we had 4 council members, including the aforementioned Ms. Young, who voted against a P4. Because they did not like the idea of some third party telling the town of Telluride, hey, take parcel A in the town of Telluride with parcel B up in the Mountain Village and parcel C in the county. This developer will come in and build simultaneously on all 3 so that they get the scale.
Right.
But we had people just not willing to even go there. So if you're a champion of housing, I guess you're a champion on certain limited terms. Or if you want to be more broad-based about it, then you ought to be exploring these options.
And what's the next thing that's the option that's coming on, that's
so
actually not been voted down, but actually is in the works?
The next housing project is the Eider Creek, the Sunnyside parcel.
Oh, right.
So that's like a 3-acre parcel or something next to the west of Eider Creek. We hired a design-build consulting team. They've come to Telluride for a series of like 3 different sessions with us. They've come to us and said, okay, we could probably get 29 units on this lot. Some of them will be like townhouse looking things, and some of them will be more of a multifamily, like a 3-story apartment building, but all net zero. That's the issue. So we're going through the process of trying to figure out how much more will that cost, and therefore is it realistic to afford it at this point. We do feel like it's affordable.
Yes, there was that meeting that went on that I stepped into, the P&Z meeting about that, and that was interesting. How they were talking about net zero and what the associated costs are. Of course, I just put solar on my roof, and I'm happy to report the town practically rolled out a red carpet for us to do it. I mean, it was so easy. I had heard anecdotally over the years, we wanted to do it, but then they wouldn't let us do it, or the panels showed up to the edge and they made us push them back or whatever. We had no such thing going on. It was all very seamless, very easy, and I don't know whether that's a new way of thinking about it from town, but anyhow, I'm very excited about that. So
what, with the energy you capture photovoltaically, what can you do in your house? Will that run
They
your
say
refrigerator?
it'll do about 94% of all of our house, and we have a Tesla that we plug in now, and so we actually have pretty low electrical bills, and so we're selling, I guess, power back to the power company, and then we'll still get power from them, but it'll be green power, so I'm very excited about that. Yeah.
Well, you've practiced what you've preached.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Absolutely. What else have we not talked about that you want to talk about? I think we have to wrap it up.
I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, so
just
how about
go
if we
vote
say,
if you haven't voted. If there's still time when you see this.
And,
if you have questions on anything, just ask.
Yeah,
don't make up
He's easy
alternate
to find
realities.
at, what's your email again, Sean?
It's smurphy@telluride-co.gov.
And you can probably find that on the Town of Telluride website also if you forget.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You can do do a link to talk to either me or every member of town council. There's little toggles for each of that.
Oh, sweet.
Each
Awesome.
of those options. So good.
Well, yeah, go vote.
All right.
Yeah,
well,
and
Sarah,
happy Halloween. Let's go upstairs and get some more chocolate chip cookies.
Okay, deal. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.